There she is, my ex. You see, she now cooks at my wedding. So this is her? I expected someone prettier. I upgraded.
There was a saying in the streets of Lagos that pride always borrowed happiness, but it never paid the debt. Many people laughed when they were on top, forgetting that tomorrow belonged to nobody. That was a lesson Mark would learn in the hardest way possible. Years before anyone knew the famous restaurant called Mama Ella's Kitchen, Ella was just an ordinary woman living in a small rented apartment in Surulere with her husband and their little son, Liam. Their home was simple. The roof leaked whenever the rainy season arrived. The chairs didn't match. The television was old enough to slap before it showed a clear picture. But Ella never complained. She believed peace was worth more than luxury. Every morning before sunrise, she woke up to prepare breakfast. She packed Mark's lunch before he left for work. She braided little Liam's hair for school, kissed his forehead and whispered that one day their lives would change. Mark used to smile whenever she said that. He would laugh and say, "As long as you're beside me, I don't care if we're rich." She believed him. She loved him with everything she had. When Mark lost his first job, Ella sold the small gold earrings her late mother had left her. When he wanted to start a transport business, she borrowed money from a women's savings group. She even learned catering so she could cook for ceremonies and help support the family. People loved her food. Her jollof rice could silence an entire party. Her pepper soup was famous around the neighborhood. Her fried fish disappeared before guests finished greeting one another. Many people told her she should open a restaurant. She would laugh. "One day," she always replied. But dreams sometimes have to wait while responsibilities come first. Months turned into years. Then everything changed. Mark began coming home late. His phone suddenly had passwords. He smiled at messages that were never meant for Ella to see. Whenever she asked where he had been, he became angry. "You ask too many questions. I work hard. You should be grateful." She apologized every single time, believing she was the problem. She didn't know another woman had already entered their marriage. Her name was Chloe. Beautiful. Fashionable. Always dressed in expensive clothes. She loved showing off on social media. She knew Mark was married. She simply didn't care. She told him he deserved someone younger, someone prettier, someone modern. She constantly mocked Ella without ever meeting her. Village women don't know how to keep a man. Mark laughed every time she said it. Slowly he started believing her. He stopped seeing the woman who had sacrificed everything for him. Instead he saw wrinkles from stress, hands roughened by cooking, eyes tired from sleepless nights. He forgot those wrinkles carried his struggles. He forgot those hands had built his future. One evening he packed his clothes. Ella stood silently by the doorway.
Where are you going?
I'm leaving.
What do you mean you're leaving?
I found someone better.
I found someone better. Her heart stopped. Mark continued speaking as though discussing the weather.
You've changed. You don't look beautiful anymore. You're always smelling of onions and pepper. I deserve better.
I deserve better. Ella couldn't even cry. Little Liam held her wrapper tightly. "Daddy, are you coming back?" Mark looked away. "I'll send money." Then he walked out. Just like that. 10 years of marriage ended with one suitcase. The neighbors watched through their windows. Some pitied Ella. Others whispered that maybe she failed as a wife. People always judged women first. That night she cried until morning. Liam woke to find his mother asleep on the floor beside the bed. He gently covered her with a small blanket. At only 7 years old, he already understood pain. Weeks later Mark officially moved in with Chloe. She posted pictures online. Matching outfits. Romantic dinners. Expensive vacations. She wanted everyone to know she had one. Whenever people asked about his wife, Mark proudly answered, "My ex couldn't keep up with my level." Ella heard every rumor. She said nothing. Instead she accepted more catering jobs, birthday parties, funerals, traditional weddings, church programs, anything that involved cooking. She carried heavy pots herself because she couldn't afford assistance. Some days she returned home after midnight. She slept only 4 hours before beginning another job. Little Liam helped wash vegetables after school. He learned to cut tomatoes. He learned to arrange plates. Mother and son became partners. Their tiny kitchen became their office. Business slowly grew. Then one afternoon an expensive invitation card arrived. Ella opened it. She froze. It was Mark's wedding invitation. He wasn't simply inviting her as a guest. He wanted her to cook. At first she laughed. Then she realized it wasn't a joke. Her phone rang. It was Mark. "I hope you got the invitation." "I did." "Good. You know people say you're a good cook. I want you to prepare the food." Ella couldn't believe what she was hearing. "You want your ex-wife to cook at your wedding?" Mark laughed. "Business is business. You need the money. And honestly," he paused, "I want people to see that life moves on. You'll understand your place." Ella remained silent. He continued, "Besides, you aren't beautiful anymore. No man would choose you over Chloe. So at least let your cooking be useful." He hung up. Ella stared at the phone for a long time. Her friend begged her not to accept. "He's trying to humiliate you." "I know. So why are you thinking about it?" Ella looked toward Liam. School fees, house rent, electricity bills. Reality was louder than pride. She accepted. The wedding day arrived. Guests filled the luxurious event center. Music blasted. Decorations sparkled. Everyone admired Chloe's expensive gown. Back inside the cooking area, Ella wore a simple apron. She stirred enormous pots without saying a word. The other cooks noticed how calm she was. Few knew she was the groom's former wife. Mark intentionally walked into the kitchen with several friends.
There she is. My ex. You
He
see?
smiled proudly.
She now
"You
cooks at
see.
my wedding."
She now cooks at my wedding." His friends laughed. Chloe joined him. She looked Ella up and down. "So this is her? I expected someone prettier." Mark wrapped his arm around Chloe. "I upgraded." The laughter continued. Ella kept stirring the soup. She never looked up. One elderly woman witnessed everything. She quietly walked into the kitchen after everyone left.
It's my daughter.
"My daughter." Ella looked at her.
God never
forgets tears swallowed in silence. Those words stayed with her forever. After the wedding she cried only once. Just once. The next morning she wiped her face and returned to work. She promised herself something. No one would ever use poverty to insult her again. She began saving every naira. She attended free business seminars. She learned accounting. She improved her recipes. She studied customer service. She learned food presentation. She borrowed a little money and rented a tiny roadside food shop. Only 6 plastic tables. 1 stove. 1 freezer. That was all. The first month was terrible. Some days she sold almost nothing. She refused to quit. Customers slowly returned because the food was unforgettable. Taxi drivers recommended her. Office workers lined up every afternoon. Students crossed neighborhoods just to eat her egusi soup. Soon the tiny shop became too small. She rented another place. Then another. Years passed. The little roadside restaurant transformed into one of Lagos' most respected hotels and restaurants. Politicians visited. Celebrities came quietly. Foreign tourists searched for authentic Nigerian meals there. The sign outside became famous. Mama Ella's Kitchen and Hotel. People traveled from different parts of Lagos just to taste her cooking. Television stations interviewed her. Business magazines wrote about her journey. She employed over 100 workers. Most of them were single mothers. She paid them well. She remembered what struggle felt like. Meanwhile, life wasn't smiling at Mark anymore. The transport business failed. Chloe loved spending money more than earning it. Arguments became daily. Luxury disappeared. Friends vanished. The expensive lifestyle became impossible. One morning Chloe packed her bags. "I didn't marry poverty." She left. Mark sat alone inside the same house he once believed represented success. For weeks he searched for work. One afternoon a business associate invited him to lunch. "I know a fantastic hotel. They serve the best food in Lagos." Mark followed him. The building looked magnificent. Beautiful gardens. Luxury cars filled the parking lot. Professional staff welcomed guests with warm smiles. He nodded in approval. This place must belong to some billionaire. His friend smiled. The owner started from nothing. Mark didn't pay much attention. As they waited, he noticed a familiar woman giving instructions to workers. She wore a neat, elegant dress. Confident. Graceful. Employees listened respectfully. Mark squinted. That woman looks familiar. She turned. It was Ella. He almost laughed. So she finally got a job here. I knew cooking would help her. He stood up proudly. Ella. She looked toward him. Their eyes met for the first time in years. She smiled politely. Hello, Mark. You work here now? Before she answered, he continued. I must admit this hotel is beautiful. You've done well getting employment here. Hard work eventually pays. He smiled with the same old arrogance. At that moment, one manager hurried over. Good afternoon, ma'am. The investors have arrived. We're waiting for your approval before the meeting begins. Another employee followed. Ma'am, should we prepare the conference hall? A third worker arrived carrying documents. These are today's financial reports for your signature. Mark frowned. What is happening? The manager looked confused. Sir. Mark pointed at Ella. She works here. The manager smiled proudly. No, sir. This is Madam Ella, our founder, the owner of Mama Ella's Kitchen and Hotel. Mark stared in disbelief. What? The manager continued speaking proudly. Everything you see here belongs to her. She built it from the ground up. She's one of the most respected entrepreneurs in Lagos. Another employee added. She recently received an award for empowering women. Mark felt the room spinning. His mouth opened but no words came out. This couldn't be happening. The woman he once mocked. The woman he invited to cook at his wedding. The woman he called ugly. Owned one of the biggest restaurants in Lagos. Ella looked at him calmly. There was no anger. No revenge. No bitterness. Only peace. Mark forced a weak smile. I didn't know. I thought. Ella finished the sentence gently. You thought I worked here. He lowered his head. I'm sorry. She nodded. I accepted your apology in my heart years ago. But life taught me something. Never allow someone else's opinion to decide your future. She looked around the restaurant proudly. The kitchen you laughed at became my kingdom. The hands you called rough built all this. She pointed toward a framed photograph hanging near the reception. It showed her standing proudly with Liam, now a successful young hotel manager beside her. My greatest investment wasn't this hotel. It was raising my son to respect people. Mark looked at the photograph. Shame covered his face. He remembered abandoning that little boy. He remembered every cruel word he had spoken. No excuse sounded good enough anymore. Customers walked in greeting Ella warmly. Good afternoon, madam. Your food changed my life. We came all the way from Abuja just to eat here. She smiled at each of them. Mark suddenly felt invisible. For the first time in many years, he understood what real success looked like. It wasn't expensive weddings. It wasn't showing off. It wasn't humiliating people. It was building something meaningful. He quietly picked up his bag. No one stopped him. No one mocked him. His own conscience was punishment enough. Without another word, Mark walked out of the restaurant. His shoulders were heavy with regret. Outside, he turned once more to look at the enormous sign. Mama Ella's Kitchen and Hotel. The name shone brightly under the Lagos sun. Inside that building was the woman he once believed was worthless. The woman who had transformed pain into purpose. The woman who proved that rejection could become the beginning of greatness. Ella watched him leave through the glass doors. She whispered softly, "Thank you for leaving. If you hadn't broken my heart, I might never have discovered my strength." She turned back toward her staff. Lunch service was beginning. Customers filled every table. The kitchen came alive with laughter, sizzling pans, and the aroma of delicious food. Ella smiled, this time not because someone loved her, but because she had finally learned to love herself. And that was a victory no one could ever take away. Some people mistake kindness for weakness and believe they can destroy another person's future. But today's story reminds us that your greatest setback can become the foundation of your greatest success. If this story touched your heart, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another powerful African tale. Until next time, remember, never look down on someone because of where they are today. Tomorrow may tell a completely different story. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next story.